Welcome to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping Orange County. With your host, Don Camber.
Hello, live from the OC Talk Radio studios at UCI's Beal Applied Innovation Center. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Don Camber with another great guest impacting our community in a positive way. Today I welcome Bauer's Museum Vice President of External Affairs Kelly Bishop. Bauer's Museum, by occupying 100,000 square feet of space, is the largest museum in Orange County. Thank you, Kelly, for being on Impact OC.
Thank you for having me.
Kelly, I understand the museum's mission is to enrich lives through the world's finest arts and cultures. How does the museum accomplish this?
Well, we do it through a robust exhibition schedule. We have over 8 permanent exhibitions on view at any time, showcasing arts and cultures from around the world. And then we rotate in special exhibitions, usually 2 at a time, 1 or 2 at a time, 3 times a year they switch out. And we partner with some of the greatest institutions around the world.
Can you describe the facilities? How big is it? Give us a tour of it if you can verbally.
Yeah. So, well, I'll take you back. We originally opened in 1936 through a bequest from Charles and Ada Bauers. So they were landowners in Orange County. And they, when they passed away, they left the land and $100,000 to start a museum to the city of Santa Ana. And with that money, the museum was opened in 1936, and originally it really focused on California art, local art, even, neighbors donating some of their ephemera, and really started small, but grew and grew over the years. In the 90s, I think it was 92, they did a large expansion, which made it kind of the more contemporary building. And then in 2007, they did the addition of the Kennedy Wing and the Norma Kershaw Auditorium, as well as some of our newer featured exhibitions. So it's now over 100,000 square feet. Our collection's over 90,000 objects. And it really does showcase all around the world. So we're celebrating all the way from Africa to China to Oceania to Mexico, and still continuing the legacy of our local California art as well.
So where is it located in Orange County?
So it's right off the 5 freeway on Main Street in Santa Ana. And so it's really, I think it's like 10 miles from Disneyland if you're visiting the area. And it's really accessible easily by freeway or public transportation. And it's a beautiful campus. We have our main building. We have 45,000 square feet of exhibition space, but we also have a huge sculpture garden and a key courtyard outside where we hold free festivals every month. And the whole space is really beautiful with just lush gardens and greens that you can walk around outside of. We also have a restaurant on site and a gallery store.
How did you operate during COVID?
Very carefully, So we actually, we did pretty well, I have to say. Like our team, very quickly after we closed, we all switched to work from home. And we kind of jumped into gear, and in a weird way, it kind of put into action some things that we would have liked to have done earlier on, kind of lit a fire under us. So we switched everything to online. We started creating downloadable art projects so teachers could use the resources, families could teach from home. We did artist talks and scholarly talks online. Our festivals became virtual, so we held monthly virtual festivals every month up until just last month when we resumed our on-site festivals. And we also launched an entire portal for free online resources called Bauer's at Home, which we continue to host to this day. So you can still go on there and access things like virtual exhibitions, even virtual lessons that you can watch instructors tell you how to do the projects of your kids, and downloadable lesson plans for teachers as well.
And you have Kids Museum. Explain that.
Kidseum is a space that's kind of morphed through the years. It's about a block away, and it's currently closed for kind of rethinking how we're going to use it, especially with COVID. It's not really something we're going to open anytime soon. but it primarily houses our kind of messier art projects. So when we have our school tour groups, for example, they go and do the art projects there after touring the galleries.
So explain some of the art that's there now and then what is planned in the future.
Yeah, so like I said, right now we always have 8 permanent exhibitions from around the world. You can visit bowers.org to see the full schedule there, but I'll focus on our featured exhibitions. Right now we have 2 watercolor exhibitions that are temporary or featured exhibitions. The Gift of Los Angeles, Memories in Watercolor by Gail Garner-Roski showcases the artwork of Gail Garner-Roski, whose namesake was the USC Roski School of Fine Art. She did amazing watercolors of Los Angeles, highlighting different kind of iconic institutions across LA and really celebrating the diversity of culture that we find in Southern California. So her show is up, and then we also have Artistic Legacy, the Anne and Bill Cullen collection, which is another watercolor exhibition, but that one is the collection of that couple who really collected a diversity of a whole range of different watercolor artists. And you might recognize the name Bill Cullen. He was the host of The Price is Right quite long ago.
How about that?
Yeah. So, and Anne really, though, his wife was an artist and collector in her own right and really kind of led the charge on their collection. So.
What other kinds of artwork will we see? You said watercolors. Are we going to see sculptures?
Yeah, so those are featured, but actually in the rest of the galleries we have artifacts and art from around the world. So we have, for example, the exhibition Spirits and Headhunters, which is art of the Pacific. So anything from shields and weapons to, brides, amazing necklaces and apparel, and even feast bowls, ceremonial masks. There's a whole slew of things from Oceania in that exhibition. We're reopening on Sunday our exhibition, Ancient Arts of China, 5,000-Year Legacy. And that exhibition was closed so that we could make room for another featured exhibition we just recently finished up with. And so we kind of gave it a facelift and switched out some pieces, but that has everything from ceremonial robes, really beautiful garbs, handmade, to sculptures, to calligraphy work, to sculptures that are like grand in scale and life size. So it's a really beautiful exhibition. I mean, the list goes on and on. Our older wing showcases California art, so we have Native American exhibition, First Californians. We also have Mission and Ranchos, telling the story of original, rancho settlers. And coming up, we're going to have a really exciting featured exhibition in December that is opening on December 12th, so 12/12. It'll be All That Glitters, the crown jewels of the Walt Disney Archives. So that exhibition is going to be kind of exactly what it says, everything that glitters, jewelry, crowns, even men's watches, all of these different props that kind of brought the characters to life throughout the history of Disney, the Walt Disney Archives collection, and even the studio films from Fox Films that they now are part of Disney's collection.
How are the artwork chosen to be in the Bauer's Museum?
Well, there's a curatorial department, but we also have the board. So we're a nonprofit institution and we're run by a board. So they, in the end, have to approve all of the pieces that come through. If it's a temporary piece or temporary exhibition, we work with outside institutions and co-organize those exhibitions. But if it's something we're bringing into the collection itself, then that gets approved by our board.
Is there competition to try to be in Bauer's Museum?
Yeah, I would say so. It's definitely a museum that, having been open as long as it has and having the reputation for really world-class exhibitions, it's definitely garnered the respect of the community. We've been voted best museum in Orange County by the Orange County Register for 28 years now. They just announced last weekend that we won again. And then by the Los Angeles Times for the last 2 years, only because they just started it a couple of years ago. So we really work closely and work hard to gain that respect from our community. So
Now, to get into the museum, are there any COVID protocols?
yeah, I mean, we're definitely staying current with whatever the guidelines are for local and state COVID protocols. So at the moment, we're asking anyone that's not vaccinated to wear a mask. If you go into our auditorium, you need to wear a mask regardless of your vaccination status. And then if you take a tour of 15 or more, then you also need to have the mask on. So those are the current protocols. Earlier on in the pandemic, of course, we were more strict in things like checking temperature at the door and additional like social distancing decals. But as people kind of have become second nature with those things, we've kind of let those fade to the background, but you still have to wear your mask no matter.
What are your hours of operation?
So it's Tuesday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Yeah. And then we also, since COVID, we're really 24 hours online. So most of the programs we now offer hybrid. So we're doing an on-site, scholarly talk, and then it's offered a week later online. We keep that virtual arm of it going so that everyone can access it regardless of if they're in Orange County or if they're across the globe.
Well, if someone's coming, how do you suggest they plan their day at the museum?
You can visit the website, bowers.org, and we have a visit page. It tells you everything you kind of need to know in terms of admission and hours and planning if you want to have lunch at the restaurant. And you can see also the current exhibitions and upcoming exhibitions through there.
And you have memberships and
Yes.
membership levels for regulars. Explain.
Yeah, so membership is a really great way to access the museum year-round. If you become a Bauer's member, your admission is free all year round, unlimited. We do still have a fee for the featured exhibitions, but as a member, your first visit to a featured exhibition is free. So for example, for the Disney show coming up, that's specially ticketed, so they'll get a free first visit, but then they only have to pay for $10 after that for their additional visits. And we have different levels of membership. So we start at the individual level. We have discounts for seniors and students to make it really affordable and accessible for everybody. And then we go all the way up to really big supporters for the museum who help us to make these programs possible.
Are any of the programs in line with the California curriculum?
Yeah, I mean, our school tours definitely are. So we have docents, an amazing docent corps who've been at the Bowers for quite a long time. I was actually recently just talking to a large group of them because welcoming them back after COVID was quite the moment for everybody. And we have one that's been there 45 years being a docent. So they're amazing, but a lot of them are former teachers and they really are in tune with what the needs are for the students and the classes. So we do school tour guided experiences, and then you also get like a classroom packet that you can take with you, as well as an art project that kind of helps to really make that experience a little more meaningful for the kids. And those are in line with all that.
Well, how can someone make the experience meaningful for themselves? What should they do before they go?
I would say like a really good way is to visit the website. And then also we have digital guides that you can access anywhere for our featured exhibition. So that's something that you can use either while you're in the galleries just to like get more information about what you're seeing, or you can use it before or after you go and really kind of dig deep into what you're about to see. It's at those are accessible at guide.bowers.org.
And how does that benefit someone when they actually get to the museum?
So it's just more information, more images, more background. So depending on the exhibition, it might have something like images of behind the scenes from the exhibition. It might have images about more of the biographical information about an artist, about the process they go through. It just depends on the exhibition.
Why is it important to visit a museum?
Well, I mean, I think for me, I've worked in museums for about 15 years now, and I really am driven to it. I think a lot of the people that work in museums are driven to it because it's something that we're passionate about, connecting people across time, across cultures. And it's an amazing way to create empathy across different cultures. I mean, there's no other place that you can firsthand see and maybe even smell and sometimes even touch pieces that really are from, the hard work and artistry of people across, space and time. And when we connect people in that way, it creates better understanding of both our differences, but also our similarities. And it's a really important space, I think, to slow down and reflect. I mean, with all of the craziness in the world today, that kind of quiet space to have that kind of reflection is sacred, I think.
So it's worth it that when someone goes inside the museum to look at something and really get an understanding of what they're looking at, because many times they're looking at a piece of artifact that came from the past.
Exactly, yeah. And just to understand what that piece might have meant to that person who created it, because a lot of times there's certainly like an aesthetic moment where you're like, oh, that looks nice. But if you take a deeper dive and understand the meaning and how it was used, you can really gain an appreciation for all the hard work that went into it, for the history that was surrounding that moment that it was made in, and for even the biography of the artists themselves.
Now, we are talking about art, but do you have festivals on grounds?
Yeah, so we do the monthly free family festivals. They're now offered hybrid as well. So we're doing them on site, and then we're screening them on YouTube and Facebook a week later. They include free art projects, live performances. We showcase community partners from around Orange County. And then we do offer free admission to Santa Ana residents every Sunday, regardless of a festival or not, with their ID. So that's something that's
So when you say hybrid, does that mean that they sign up to watch it virtually?
You could, yeah. So you don't even need to sign up. So we offer it on site. So it's an in-person experience for free, and you show up. And then we're offering it online a week later. And you can just literally go to our Facebook page and it'll be live.
So if people want to get involved with the museum, volunteer, is that available now?
Yeah, we're just starting to kind of dip our feet back into that. So our docent corps is starting to do recruiting. They're going to have an event coming up in November to recruit. We're starting to slowly get our internships going again. So it's a slow process, but yeah, there's definitely opportunities. And again, bowers.org is the place to see that.
Thank you, Bowers Museum Vice President of External Affairs, Kelly Bishop, for being on Impact OC. And I thank everyone for tuning in. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Dawn Camber. Have an impactful day.
You've been listening to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping our community. Right here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio.